फ्रेंड्स वेलकम बैक। तो देखते हैं इनसाइड द वर्ल्ड्स डेडलीस्ट जंगल। ओए होए, स्नेक्स, टाइगर्स एंड सर्वाइवल।
अमेज़न देखते हैं कहाँ है।
हाँ देखते हैं। चलो वीडियो शुरू करते हैं। वीडियो शुरू करने से पहले अगर आप चैनल पर नए हो और आपने अभी तक सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो जल्दी से पहले सब्सक्राइब के बटन और बेल आइकन को क्लिक कर लो ताकि आपको हमारे सारे न्यू वीडियोस के नोटिफिकेशन मिल जाएं जैसे हम अपलोड करें।
अगर आपको वीडियो पसंद आता है प्लीज़ लाइक एंड शेयर। चलिए शुरू करते हैं।
ओए तो असलियत है।
This is a Burmese python.
This is what?
Python.
पागल है।
You were charged by an elephant in India. There was like a field with beautiful trees. A wild elephant just starts screaming and then just smacks a tree with his trunk. The tree flew apart. I started running through the forest. And finally we get to the edge of the stream. And so I just jumped and I rolled down the 12 feet and landed on my back into the stream. But the elephant gets to the edge of this cliff. He was so pissed he picked up a stick, raised the stick up in his trunk and threw the stick at me. The stick was right next to my head. I was like, I'm alive.
In this 500 special episode of Figuring Out, we have Paul Rosolie, a conservationist and author known for going where most people wouldn't even dare to look. You've tracked tigers on foot in India.
When you see a tiger in the wild, they're so big and their paws are so massive. And there's only, 5,000 of them left on Earth? And it's one of the greatest terrestrial predators we've
Only 5,000 left on Earth. कितनी गलत बात है।
ever had. There's nothing else like the tiger.
If you want to understand what's really happening inside the world's most dangerous and important rainforest, this episode is a must watch. You said that Amazon at night is a festival of sex and death.
Call the Amazon the greatest natural battlefield on Earth because in every acre of these vast, tremendous trees, you have frogs and snakes, reptiles, amphibians, birds, mammals, bats, trying to eat and trying to mate. So the jungle at night is incredible.
What's the most disturbing illegal thing which is moving right now, which we might not be aware of?
Next to guns, drugs, and women, the illegal trade in wildlife is the 4th largest black market on Earth. And so that's incredibly dark and disturbing.
The export just from Amazon and the African jungles is about $23 billion a year.
It's insane.
Who are the people who are buying these animals?
You have people that believe that tiger penis wine will make yours larger, and then elephants for the ivory, rhinos for the ivory.
And which country is buying the most?
China.
चाइना ही
You make
पागल।
argument that if you remove humans, nothing will change. But if you remove ants, the whole ecological system will collapse.
They're engineering the whole system, so if you removed ants, all of our ecosystems would crash.
ओह
What's one animal which is at the verge of extinction?
टाइगर।
Tell me, how do you understand what are the snakes like? Non-venomous ones, venomous ones. How do you identify?
But one of the best ways to educate people about snakes is to show them a snake. This is a small baby animal, so you have to be protecting her. She's so beautiful.
No, she's not.
It's not a tree group.
वो डरा था, देखा था जैसे वो नीचे उतरा है।
कुछ लोगों को डर लगता है।
मुझे लगता है, मेरे को देख के डर लगता है। मैं तो फोटोज को भी नहीं टच कर सकती।
अगर वो नहीं कर सकता, वेनम नहीं है, then it's okay।
नहीं, मेरे को तो फिर भी डर लगता है।
बाइट ना करे
तो मुझे फिर भी डर लगता है।
This episode is brought to you by our travel partner GoIVivo. Check out the link in the description to download the app and avail exclusive first-time user discounts. Before we start today's episode, I have a small request. If you find these conversations valuable, please subscribe to this channel. It helps us bring more powerful guests and valuable insights for you. Tell me if someone's watching you for the first time and they have no clue who you are. If they're watching you for the first time, how would you describe them? Describe yourself to them.
I'm a person who tries my very best to protect rainforests and wildlife around the world. My job is the founder and field director of an organization called Jungle Keepers, and we're protecting 136,000
अच्छा, ये न्यूयॉर्क में इस फिल्म हुई है, यूएसए में।
acres of the Amazon rainforest, which is hard to imagine how big
He's American.
that is, and it's hard to imagine how many animals and trees and undiscovered medicines, entire tribes of humans live in there that have no idea about the outside world. So protecting rainforests is crucial. Rainforest only exists on 6% of the landmass of Earth, and we're destroying it so fast because it's filled with minerals and nutrients and endangered species and all these resources, but we need it. This little belt of rainforest contains, it's only 6% of the landmass, and it contains 50% of the life on Earth. So it's this incredible avatar treasure magic land that we're wiping out, and we can't live without it. So that's my job, is to protect the animals and the rainforest from being destroyed by us.
And when did you get an idea? But with the first time, you thought maybe this is something that can be turned into a jungle keeper.
Yeah. Well, first I spent years, and I tell this now because a lot of people message me and they go, how do I get your job? I want to do what you do. And I'm like, look, first of all, you never want to replicate somebody else's path. And so you want to blaze your own path and do it your way. But first, what you have to do is find a master to study under. You have to find someone doing the work that you want to do at the highest level, the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
And so I had JJ, who was a tracker and a scientist and this incredible jungle man. And so I spent 5, maybe even 10, I would say about 7 years just studying from him. And so he would take me on adventures, basically these expeditions. We would go into parts of the Amazon that no one's allowed. And his family is allowed because they're indigenous. So they go on ceremonial hunting trips deep into the jungle. And we'd go for 10 days in an open canoe just up the... And so when it rains, you're freezing cold.
क्या ceremonial hunting trips?
When the sun is out, your skin burns. And I'm talking about 8 hours of sunburn. And then the following day, it's freezing cold all day. Because rain, sun. And you have no protection from the elements. And we just take our clothes off. It's actually easier to be naked in the jungle in those times because if you get your clothing wet, then you have nothing dry at night. So we'd hunt for our food and fish for our food and learn the forest. And they said, take your shoes off if you're going to hunt with us. Your shoes are too loud.
ओए
And so I learned to walk barefoot in the Amazon. And you just study and you learn why do local people turn into loggers
उस ख्याल से वो जे लोकल होगा वही कोई
No, that's why he's from there only.
अच्छा
and gold miners and how do the local people relate to their forests. And so 7
JJ local
years
hai.
of study like that. And then, at that point, then I started to do a little bit of telling people, okay, I've had these amazing adventures. I've seen anacondas. I've seen these amazing ecosystems like the floating forest. And I learned enough about the jungle that people started asking me about the jungle. And then I started saying, well, I know what we need to do to protect this. And I said, if we just had the funding, we could do this. And so you have the logistical know-how.
Yeah.
And then then I had the plan, but it took all those years. And I had to have all of that base knowledge. It's like doing your PhD in the wild. And then I started going, okay, if we were called the jungle keepers, we could be the ones protecting the jungle. And at first it was just an idea. And then I drew the logo. And then I started going, and if you can speak it, you can make it happen. If you can just, as you start saying it out loud, you go, I'm going to run a marathon. You start telling your mom, I'm going to run a marathon. My friends, I'm going to run a marathon. Start telling them, and then you go start running. It's like, then they expect you to run a marathon.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to protect the Amazon.
But tell me the day one, okay, when you're in Amazon, in your book, you also mentioned that JJ, he doesn't teach you anything, he shows you something, right?
Yeah.
So you just learn by observing. You don't actually learn by, there's no course or something that he walks you through.
He would push you into it. You learn by experiencing. So the first time we were going up the river, and JJ said, I know about the medicines, and I'm going to teach you about the trees, and I'm going to do this. Okay, cool. And I said, well, I love snakes, so I'm going to catch snakes. He said, really?
he loves snakes and he's gonna catch snakes.
I'm so scared of snakes. He said, my people, he goes, we kill the snakes. I said, I love snakes. I said, you're not killing snakes around me. I'm going to teach you how to do snakes. So we're going up the river for one whole day. We camp on the side of the river, out in the open in the middle of the Amazon. That's how deep we're going. You go for 10 hours from the nearest place, and this isn't like the jungle anywhere else. This isn't like you go and there's a village. No, you go and there's just jungle. Like Earth, the way the day God made it. Like it's just a planet like it was 10,000 years ago. Just jungle from horizon to horizon. We're just going on this little river. You camp on the side of the river. Second day. Now we're 7 hours on the second day. And we see this big snake on the side of the river. Big athletic looking colubrid. And I go, look at that whip snake. And JJ's like, great, stop the boat. And he goes, come on, shirt off. He goes, let's go. And he jumps into the Amazon River.
क्या करने जा रहे हैं शाम को?
Now, I'm from New York. So, I'm going, aren't there stingrays and piranhas and anacondas and caiman and all of these terrible things in there? And he's like, no, come on. We get up into our necks. And so that's the first example where he just goes, let's go. And I went, shit. And I put my feet down on the bottom of the river and it's sand. It's all clean. I said, don't we have to worry about stinging? He said, don't worry, come on. He said, you catch that snake. We didn't catch the snake because it was daytime and the snake was fast. But I went, whoa.
बाप रे.
Most of the scientists I know, they wear big boots and they have, insect repellent and long sleeves and, glasses and hats and all these things to protect them like it's a spacesuit. JJ's method, because he's local indigenous, was you take off your shirt and pants. You only need a machete. That's part of your arm. That's part of your body now, the machete. And so I started learning.
सूट बेटर है. प्रोटेक्ट होगा. सांप काट ले. सूट में काट तो नहीं सकता ना.
That the first time we saw a crocodile, he said, you think you can catch that?
I said, crocodile.
I think so. He goes, great, grab it. So I had to grab
वो भी हैरान है मैं भी हैरान हूँ
my first crocodile, just jump on the neck and restrain it. And so, my
Okay.
job when I went there, I should say, this is not just jumping on animals. It was also that I had a research position doing research on birds. So someone who is doing their doctorate in macaws, studying the macaw populations all around the world. There's, I think, 16 something species of macaws. Most of them are endangered or extinct in the wild because people want the colorful feathers. Their habitats being destroyed. Their trees are being cut down. And in this virgin part of the Amazon, there's still wild, like just clouds of red and blue flying across the sky. The most beautiful birds, these huge parrots. And so my job was to sit there every morning from like 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. just looking at where the birds come. They come to this one spot on the river and say, how many birds this hour? What's the weather conditions?
Wow.
So I'd have to put in my half a day of research, and the rest of the day, they said, the whole Amazon rainforest is yours. Go nuts. And there were no rules.
Wow.
No rules whatsoever. That was a cool thing because it was JJ's research station. So he just went, yeah,
Go mad.
go mad. I said, I'm going to go out at night with just my flashlight. He said, go.
बाप रे मैं तो कभी रात को निकलूँ ना बल्कि
I said, I don't know what time I'm going to be back. He said, I hope you survive. It was just no rules. It was all up to me. So you're walking through this place of trees that are 160 feet tall with vines, and there's jaguars. And I was great, man. I've been
मूवीज में देखते तो हैं
kept in school with rules my whole life, and you have to go. Can I go to the bathroom?
वही तो
Shut up. Yeah.
So, tell me, if I followed you for one day, like what you're explaining sounds like a different world.
Yeah.
Right? You come from this world, and you said the moment you see a snake, your first thought in your mind was, oh, aren't they gonna be like something in the water, or isn't the snake gonna bite, or something this will happen, that will happen. So your human brain, your modern world brain kicks in, right? So if I follow
your protective brain kicks in भैया modern world नहीं protective
the Amazon for the first time with you, at what point of the day I stop recognizing the rules of this world? At what point just I forget that I come from a different world and this jungle becomes a new world for me?
I think really quickly, because you're on this boat and you're going up this river, and you almost can look back over your shoulder and look at like your civilization's back there. And then there's the feeling of knowing that there's no police, there's no ambulance,
there's nobody to help you
there's no help if anything
वही
goes wrong.
मेन तो वही है
So if you're following
you
me,
can't even communicate and let them know कि तुम्हें प्रॉब्लम हो रही है या तुम कुछ बहुत ट्रबल में हो
and one of us breaks our ankle, the other one has to carry him. And you're in the wilderness, and in the jungle, if you get off the boat and you go into the jungle, you couldn't see 10, 15 feet that way. There's so
Baba.
much plants
Correct.
in the
Oi,
way
oi.
Correct.
that you have to rely on your machete. You'd have to rely on me for every step, because if you take a step in the wrong direction, there might be a wasp nest under that leaf. If you get surrounded by wasps, you could be stung so much you die.
ओए होए
Yeah.
If you take a step in the wrong direction, there's thorns that are this big. You trip, that
ओए बाप रे
thorn
बहुत
goes straight
dangerous
through your
जगह है.
neck.
Yeah.
And so anything can happen in this jungle. It's also, again, it's not that dangerous, but what could happen? I've had people
अनाड़ियों के लिए तो बहुत ही डेंजरस होगा
standing right next to me slip, fall, and break their arm in half.
ओए होए
I've had people standing next to me and trip, fall, and put their hand through the thorns.
ओए होए
And so I go, don't touch that. I'm like, oh, we touched the tree. And I was like, I'm like, can you watch out for that mud? It's slippery. She broke
ओए होए
her arm. I'm like I'm always
But
trying to
what-
keep people safe.
But at what point this awareness kicks in?
Again,
There has to be some point, right? Like
yeah,
there
it's
has to
pretty
be
soon.
some
For
moment.
some people, it's going to be the first day, the first night, the next morning. A lot of times when you see the dawn come up over the jungle. But what really happens is the first time our boat hits the ground and we can't get it out, and you have to jump in the river and you have to push. So here's the interesting thing about the jungle. Here's the interesting thing about all nature is that it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what religion you are, what color you are. It doesn't matter anything.
Correct.
The rocks and the rain and the river, they have their own rules, and we have to play by their rules, and they're the original rules, and they're real. And so
कौन से रूल्स हैं भाई वो क्या है
if our boat gets stuck and the river is dropping because it hasn't rained in days, we might not be able to leave that spot for a week. And so we have to camp there. And then we have to figure out how to get food once we run out of food. We might not have a week of food with us. How do we protect ourselves from the sun? Do we go in the jungle where there's mosquitoes? Do we stay out here where there's sandflies? Do you know how to catch piranhas? And it's like you have to And then, oh wait, now it's raining. Now we have the opposite problem. Now the river's going up 10, 15 feet in 4 hours. Now the boat's racing downriver and there's trees the size of a truck coming down the river. And we have to say, holy shit, we have to get this motor started. The motor doesn't start anymore. And so now we have to use poles to push ourselves off the side of the river. And it's like, you have to be making decisions. And it doesn't matter if you believe that the river is rising or not. Everything today is like, well, I feel like it's this. We say, well, we think that this conflict happening in this country, I feel like this, and you might feel differently. You say, they're all good guys. I say, well, they're all bad guys. Or vice versa. I say, I think what they're doing is right. You say, what they're doing is terrible. In the wild, we all agree on this one thing. The river is rising, and if you disagree, you will die. And it's simple. So it simplifies life. And so that's the point where you go, oh, we're all on the same page. We're just tiny little animals on this giant planet. And so you remember that because we experience life through our phones, through each other. And then when you're in the wild, you fall into the embrace of the elements. And I think that that's where we're supposed to live. That's where we always did live, except for the last 150 years. We've always had experiences. I mean, in the time I've spent in India, you talk to the farmers in Coorg, and they all go, oh yeah, there's my uncle, he's still got a tiger skin up in the attic because back when we started the coffee estates, there were still tigers here. And you go, there's still tigers now? And they go, not really. And it's like, man, we used to have authenticity and some sort of balance. Every few years maybe a tiger gets somebody. Most of the time the tigers want deer. And so it's like you have to live like that. You have to live in balance with nature, and I think that's what we've forgotten. But for you coming with me into the jungle, I think you'd be like, wow, this is amazing, until the moment that we were doing something real.
Indian jungles, Western Ghats versus Amazon. Do the same rules apply? Or are they different in nature? Because I'm sure there must be some essence of both the places which is completely theirs.
First of all, the main difference between the Indian jungle and the Amazon is that the Amazon is so big.
वही मैं बोल रही हूँ, तो ह्यूज है, इतना डेंस है, बहुत डेंजरस होगा. मतलब इंडियन जंगल्स के मुकाबले में पता नहीं कितने टाइम्स.
That you have these areas that are wild,
तो पूरी
where there's
country
no people. In India, Western Ghats, there's areas that are deep jungle, but there's someone somewhere close. There's some tribal village, there's some other village, and so this thing of the jungle is lawless is not, Indian Forest Department has rules. You can't just go doing whatever you want in the forest, and that's a good thing. This is in a place like India. If there wasn't rules, the whole forest would be gone. And we know from the farmers that Western Ghats helps create the weather patterns that give rain to the irrigation for how much of India? A lot. And so without that rainforest, it would change the climate of India. So it's crucial to protect it. And of course you have mining and development industries trying to destroy that whole thing for their own profit. And they're stealing from everyone else. Every other citizen, every farmer, every community, every indigenous group, all the people that live in the cities, those industries, when they destroy rainforests, they are stealing from them, polluting the rivers that people depend on for fish and for water and for irrigation. And so that's one of the things that I've been fighting to educate people on, is the idea that, if you were to come to a major office building and try to set it on fire, it would be an act of terrorism. You'd go to jail. But if we go to a forest and we use explosives to destroy the side of the mountain and we cut down the forest and kill all the animals and burn the trees, somehow that's just called development. It's not development, it's murder.
Yeah.
And at this point on Earth, we've lost 50% of the wildlife on our planet. Not of the species, but of the total numbers of those species. So 50% of the life on our planet we've killed. Removed the habitat, actually killed the species. Tigers have lost so much of their range. India actually is an incredible success story for conservation because the tigers are going up in numbers. And so that's huge. In so many other countries, tigers have dropped off and are just gone. But what I try to explain to people is that we are still so connected to ecosystems. And we have to change the way we think. That society can just grow and grow and grow and grow. We cannot. We have to actually respect the natural boundaries, and that's where me and you on the river in the Amazon, we have to respect the rules of the rain and the rocks. But at the same time, India has to respect the rules of the Western Ghats that are providing the weather for them, almost like the jungle is its own god. That's the way I look at the Amazon. So the difference between the Amazon is one is so big. I mean, the Amazon is the size of the continental U.S.
Correct.
It's huge. This is huge. So there's still places where you can go for 2 weeks by boat. And the reality there is, even though you might be in the territory of Peru or Brazil, you're days away from the nearest police station. You're days away from the nearest school or the nearest place you can buy a Coca-Cola. and so you're out so far. You're literally off the edge of civilization. It's like you've gone off the map. And so out there, the reality is you're on your own. And so if illegal drug traffickers come to you, no one's going to help you. If they want to shoot you, they shoot you. If they don't want to shoot you, they don't shoot you. Sometimes you go, hey, you got a pack of cigarettes? They can be pretty friendly too. In India, I found this very, very different. And so I've had amazing adventures, watching the elephants move through the jungle. I've gone on a few rescues where a king cobra has gotten into someone's kitchen looking for water. And everyone in the village is so scared, and we've gone in and brought out this 11-foot king cobra, this big, huge king cobra, and then we took a water bottle. I have a video of this. We took a water bottle and just dribbled it on her nose, and the king cobra starts drinking the water. All she wanted was a drink, and the entire village was scared of this king cobra, and everyone said, she's so dangerous, kill it, kill it. They had the sticks ready. You're not going to kill this king cobra. They're endangered. They're special. And so this big monster just wanted a drink. That's it. And so in India, I think the thing is, it's not the big wilderness like the Amazon, but it's still so crucial. And there's still so many incredible animals that depend. There's frogs there that occur nowhere else on Earth. There's still tigers and elephants and all of these beautiful animals. And Western Ghats is some of the most beautiful rainforests on the planet, and so crucial. And so the difference is, again, one is very lawless and wild, and the other one, I think, requires a little bit more respect for the fact that there's many different people relying on this forest. It's just a tiny little sliver, it's just that mountain range. And so it's something that needs to be guarded like a treasure. And I think that the Western Ghats has a very special place for me.
बहुत ही प्यारा
बहुत
इंटरव्यू
प्यारा है, saying very nicely.
बहुत अच्छी तरह से जिस तरह से बात कर रहा है,
बहुत ही जबरदस्त तरीके से talking like a story.
और जो मतलब एक्सप्लेन करने का तरीका है बहुत ही मतलब बढ़िया है. आपके
माइंड में इमेजेस आ रही थी as he was telling you a story.
हाँ बिल्कुल. और देख के ओहो बाय गॉड, और जिस तरह से कंपेयर करके बताया और डायरेक्टली प्यार से भी बताया कि इंडिया के लिए वो कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है, वेस्ट घाट जो अपना है वो कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है, उसकी रियलाइजेशन, और कैसे एक कोबरा को देख के लोग हम सब डर जाते हैं, पर वो भी मतलब उस एनिमल जो है उसको वो कोई काम करने नहीं, वो अपने प्यार पानी के लिए आया है. मतलब हमने उसका हैबिटेट इतना नष्ट कर दिया है कि उसको कहीं पानी ही नहीं मिल रहा, तो वो मजबूर है. और वही सच है कि जानवर क्यों आ रहे हैं, क्योंकि हमने उनका लैंड यूज़ करने लग गए हैं. तो वी नीड टू लर्न कि भैया सीखना पड़ेगा हमें कि किस तरह से मिल के रह सकें. ये नहीं कि सारी ज़मीन सभी करते जंगल ख़त्म करते जाएं. और जो अमेज़न की बातें बता रहे हैं वो तो हमने कई मूवीज़ में भी देखा है कि कितना डेंजरस होता है और कितना थिक है, और किस तरह के. या एग्जैक्टली, एनिमल भी चींटी साइज एनिमल, मतलब आपके लिए बाकी सारे जो जानवर होंगे आपके हिसाब से इतने ताकतवर और स्ट्रॉन्ग है कि कमाल है भाई. हाँ, अब आगे भी देखेंगे क्या होता है. तो होप करते हैं आपको भी मजा आ रहा होगा. मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीडियो में बहुत ही जल्द. टिल देन टेक केयर एंड बाय बाय. तो अगर आप मेरे इस चैनल पे नए हो तो जल्दी से सब्सक्राइब के बटन को हिट करो और बेल आइकन को क्लिक करो ताकि आपको मेरा जब नया वीडियो मैं लगाऊं आपको उसके बारे में जल्दी से पता चल जाए.